Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, coming to you 6 days a week as we interview whitetail experts and hear their traditions and personal stories of the hunt. Learn more about the latest gear, discover proven tips, and the latest strategies so you can make your next hunt a success. Now, here's your host, Bruce Hutchin.
As host to Whitetail Rendezvous, I want to say thank you. Thank you for almost 100,000 iTunes downloads. Thank you to the 300 guests who've been on the show. And thank you to over 30,000 followers on social media. Couldn't do this show without every single one of you. And secondly, sometimes the sound quality isn't radio quality, isn't recording room quality. It is what it is. People might be in a tree stand, a box blind. They might be sitting in their pickup truck on a hillside. Or they might be traveling to and from a blind or home from work. They're all over. And because of that, sometimes the quality isn't what you would expect or would have hoped for.
This is Whitetail Rendezvous Podcast, episode number 309.
Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous. We're heading out to north central Pennsylvania. We're going to visit with Matthew Rankin. Matthew's involved with quite a few companies in the outdoor industry, Tree Stand Buddy and Slash Arrows. He's also co-host for Tack Driver TV. Matt spends a lot of time in the industry, folks, but he saves time to hunt, and he shot a beautiful buck, which you'll see in the post, the unicorn buck. So he's got a story about that. And he's going to talk about his hunting heritage, how his grandfather and father took him afield as a young man, and he's never left the forest. Stay tuned. It's going to be a great show. Hey, listeners, don't forget to text 33444 Food Plot for your free Food Plot ebook. Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous. This is your host, Bruce Hutchin. We're heading out to north central Pennsylvania. We're going to connect with Matthew Rankin. Now, Matthew has a very busy day, and I'll just share a couple of things that he does. He's currently sales manager for Tree Stand Buddy and Slash Arrows. He's co-host at Tack Driver TV, and he's the owner of a Hunt 24/7 Sales and Land Management. Matt, when do you sleep?
Not very often. There's only so many hours in a day, and I don't have time to waste sleeping, so we just kind of keep our nose to the grindstone out here.
Well, how do you sit in a tree stand all day long during a rut when you get all those things pounding at you?
That's a whole different story. It's very easy to hit the power button on your mobile phone and become disconnected.
Yeah, because that much going, I mean, people are going to ping you or texting you or whatever, and then I find, I love to send selfies when I'm sitting in a stand because my buddy's a quarter mile away, and we have a little code, and we'll just say a couple of words. He knows what I'm saying. I know what he's saying, blah, blah, blah. But, I kind of like that because it brings the whole crew together. But as far as work, once you get on the phone and once you speak, I don't care if you get a headset on and a mic, you start speaking, the deer go, what's that? Your thoughts on that?
Right. I've lost more deer than I care to share because of, the nature of what I do. Even if I'm in a tree stand, I'm still working, and unfortunately, sometimes I have been on the phone or trying to type an email reply back to somebody, looked up and a nice deer standing there looking at you, going, "Well, too late for this."
And it's funny.
So it happens, but it's the nature of the business, and as long as you stay at it and you stay persistent, you remain patient, you'll always get opportunities.
It's amazing how often that happens. Now, I thought about that. Okay, I'm not paying attention to the deer. They hear some sort of noise, human type noise, and but they don't feel a threat because they just must not feel a threat because they'll come waltzing in, and all of a sudden, it's a fire drill, which you're not ever going to win, and they walk away, and it's just weird. It's weird how that happens.
I've actually had deer talking in a real, low tone. Obviously, I'm not sitting in the tree stand talking like you and I are talking now.
Right.
But talking in a low tone, I look up, I see deer. Okay, I got to go. I'll call you right back. No big deal. The ones that always get me, and I don't know why, it must be the movement or the sudden stop in movement, are in the middle of an email reply or replying to a message from somebody. You're typing away, looking down, you look up, and you stop typing, and the deer takes off. That's the one that always gets me.
Yeah.
Apparently, I have an endearing tone in my voice that the deer just aren't scared of.
Yeah, and then you're active because, I spent hours on tractors and doing stuff and tractors and stuff for the farm, different places, and you'll go right by deer. They'll sit there and watch you. I mean, they're 20 feet away, not 20 yards away. They're 20 feet away. They just, you go bopping by. They really don't care, and they stand and look and everything. I mean, it's
right. They don't associate danger with tractors and farm equipment. When they start to perk their ears up is when they hear that quad or things like that. Then they start to associate, okay, well, maybe I need to move.
Yeah, it's so interesting, critters. Hey, let's jump into co-host of TAC Driver TV. What's that all about, and where you at? How can people watch your TV? So let's talk about that.
So TAC Driver TV is an all bow hunting show that will air on the Pursuit channel 3 times a week, starting December 29th, which is a Thursday. It'll air Thursday at 7:30, Sunday at 6:30 a.m., and Tuesday at 4:30 p.m. Now the difference in this show is it's backed by the product Steadyform. So how it really works is the pro staff and the people videoing all the footage that we'll garner for this are actually membership driven. These are everyday, average people, whether it be blue collar, white collar, all walks of life from all different parts of the country out filming their hunts. They pay a membership fee, and what that gets them is it gets them their Steadyform. Steadyform backs the whole thing. So the key to it all is you have that Steadyform. We're using the television outlet to show the world what that Steadyform can really do for a bow hunter.
So Steadyform, I have not used one. I shoot a crossbow, so I do not use.
We haven't figured out how to engage the crossbow yet with Steadyform.
You'll figure it out.
Sooner or later, I think there's something that could come along there.
Yeah, I have no doubt. So, are they going to see an infomercial, or are they going to see a hunt using Steadyform?
No, it's going to be three hunts an episode, but you're not going to see paid professional sponsored hunters. These are everyday, average working class people that are filming in their free time, their spare time with buddies, and those are the hunts that you're going to see showcased. So basically, it's going to be reality hunting TV.
With Steadyform.
In conjunction with Steadyform. And we have a lot of affiliate partners as well that provide our membership base with some discounts on their products as well. So it's gone really well. We're really excited for it to air and for people to sit down and watch. Not every hunt's going to be chasing a great big buck. It might be a hog, it might be an antelope, it might be an elk, a mule deer, a whitetail doe. It can be a whole plethora of things, and I'm excited about it. I think it's something different. I think people will want to watch it.
Well, that's great. Now, I have had no one on the show from Steadyform, so if you could send a shout-out to them to get a hold of me after you've done the show, I'd love to have them on the show because I know a lot of people out there use their products. So, just food for thought. Now, what's your role as co-host? Do you do hunting and talking, or just mostly?
Yeah, I mean, some of our hunts will be in there. Not very many. Nick Albanese from Steadyform and myself will co-host the show, do all the post-production, and then on top of it, I handle all the operations management for it as well. I handle all the backdoor stuff with handling the members and getting contracts handled and working with our affiliate partners, which there's about 32 of them. So I handle a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff as well.
Yeah, I'd love to have Nick on the show. I see him all the time on Facebook, and we've just never connected, so maybe this is...
He's another guy that you'll find is very, very busy.
Yeah. And
he owns Steadyform, and he runs another company as well during the day.
Yeah, understood. Hey, let's take a break from this, and in the warm-up, you were talking about being in a backpack at 6 years old with your gramps or your dad, I remember which one, out in the woods. Tell us about your hunting heritage and tradition.
Well, I grew up in north central PA. My dad worked for the Pennsylvania Game Commission for a period of time, and my granddad's a retired wildlife conservation officer of 30 plus years, and then some plus years as a deputy afterwards. So I grew up very fortunate. You know, I remember as a small kid, our parents loading us up and taking us around while my grandpa stocked pheasants and taking us to go check a trap with a nuisance bear in it for a relocation, and seeing baby fawns when the mom doe got hit, you know, by a vehicle. So I grew up with a lot of abilities to be around game and wildlife and get involved with hunting and seeing, you know, my dad's passion and my grandfather's passion, not only for the conservation end of it, but the tradition and the heritage that went along with it, you know. And then as I got older, you know, I remember 6 years old, I'm a little kid, I still remember this to this day. For some reason, I couldn't be somewhere, and we didn't have a babysitter, so my dad put me in a backpack and took me bow hunting. Don't think I'll ever forget that. I don't think he'll ever forgive me for telling you. He emptied his quiver and actually went and walked around and picked up his arrows and came back. And never a big bow hunter, but between those two people, I have them to thank for pretty much everything that I've accomplished in my young career and life, for allowing me and affording me the abilities that I was blessed with as a young boy. You know, I basically grew up living the American dream as a hunter with a dad and grandpa that's all they thought about. That's all they did. So, and as I got older, it progressed, and now it's pretty much a 365-day-a-year obsession as well as part of my job. So
let's talk about that 365, because more and more people are 365 hunters, 24/7, 365. Some are really passionate, and they can be because of their work or whatever. But what does 365 hunter mean to you?
There really is, you know, I hear all the time, well, the season's almost over. Well, in all reality, as a property manager and as a whitetail, I guess, enthusiast, if for lack of a better word, there really is no off-season, you know. Once you get into the winter months, and of course we're no longer able to harvest game, deer in particular, you know, I begin by getting the deer the minerals they need, and supplemental feeding, which I try to stay away from corn just because of acidosis and things like that. But I get them the minerals they need. I'll take my snowblower and I go down through the woods and I clear them a path to walk up through. Anything I can do to help my deer regain what they've lost throughout a pressured fall from hunters and the rut and a lack of massed crop now. I'll go in, I do some hinge cutting every year to give deer some new browse on the ground. You know, woody browse makes up 95% of a deer's overall food source. You know, deer eat twigs and buds off trees, and I go in and do that in the winter. You know, and then as you roll into spring, I plant spring plots. I get my clover plots planted. I clear my lanes in the woods and let that the lush greenery come up, and then I start running trail cameras right away. And as we roll into summer, you know, I continue to pour the minerals to them right up till about June, July. Then I'll pull them, because here in the state of Pennsylvania, now I have other properties in other states where you're allowed to do it, but in the state of Pennsylvania, you have to remove all outside food up to 30 days ahead of the season starting. But for me, I pull it about the end of July, beginning of August, when the antlers are done growing basically, and a deer's got its body where it needs to be going into the fall. And then, of course, you know, you're running trail cameras, checking them every 2 weeks, hanging tree stands, planting fall food plots, planting winter food plots. There really just is no off season when it comes to hunting for me. And then, of course, you know, with some of the stuff I do for work, that adds into it. But there really is no off season, and I think that's probably the number one key to the successes I've experienced. Is you can always find smarter, you can always find better looking, that's for certain. But the one thing that I've always prided myself on, and this comes from where I grew up and the family members I had, and my dad and grandpa, my other family, was a work ethic. If you refuse to take no for an answer, and you refuse to accept failure as an option, then you have no other place than to be successful.
And I'm just making a couple notes. And one thing you said, I loved how you go out and on your woodlot, you actually make trails. And there's a lot of ways to do that. You don't have to take a snowblower. You can just pack.
No, I have a skid steer that I use as well. I have a snow plow on the front of my truck that I can use a couple places. But the majority of it, I'll go out through. I'll load the snowblower up on my RTV, and if I can't get in there with a skid loader or with a bucket and clear it, then I'll go in with the snowblower out through the middle of the timber, and I'll blow them some paths open so that they can get to those hinge areas or a winter bulb plot that I've got planted back in the woods, and try to give them a little bit easier access. Because once you get into a hard snowpack, and then unfortunately it happens everywhere, you get a little bit of a melt, and then it develops that crust, and it crushes these animals.
Now, you talk about, how about predation during the wintertime? What do you do about that?
Hunt them. We try to hunt coyotes as much as possible. Of course, in the wintertime is show season in the industry, so I'm not home a lot with traveling, but we try to hunt predators. Fortunately, where I'm at here at my home, I don't have a huge predation problem. We do have some coyotes, a few bears, but we don't have a huge predation problem here.
That's good. Now, food plots is different than mineral stashes. Is that correct?
Sure.
So you could have food plots all year round.
I do have food plots that are supplemental food sources all year round. I call them transitional plots. I don't know. That's just a term I've always used. So I'll plant almost every plot I plant in thirds. I use the bottom third of the food plot, the closest to the woods, for my early fall when you have more daylight and the deer don't have to move so far in daylight hours to get to that food source. In the middle, I'll use a middle stage, something that has a bulb or something like a rutabaga or a tuber, something that is palatable once it starts to get cold, and then they have to move a little further as daylight gets shorter. And then the furthest from the woods, I always use my radishes, my sugar beets, my turnips, things that release their protein and their sugar content after the snow flies and the super cold hits. And it also gives me the ability to try to draw those deer out, being they have to go further from cover to get there in shooting daylight as the days get shorter later in the year.
Thanks for that. I know some guys have taken it, they've gotten Egyptian grass and other high cover grasses, so the deer feel real comfortable. They still end up the same place, but they create actually, aisles of cover.
Buffers.
Yeah. Is that what you call them, buffers?
Yeah, I use Egyptian wheat. And of course I use all my seed. I get all my seed from John O'Brien at Grandpa Ray's and Chris Yeager at Woodland Ag Trophy Select Food Plot Seed. Just good guys, good products. I've been using them for a few years now. But I use Egyptian wheat for a buffer.
And John O'Brien, I'm starting to develop relationship with him, and so he's smart. I mean, he's 26 years in the ag.
He's extremely smart, and he's a great guy.
Yeah, it's just, I learned, the reason I hang with him, because I learned so much from him.
Absolutely. Just listening to him talk, you can learn a lot.
Yeah, and I listened, that's for sure. Now, talk about Tree Stand Buddy and Slash Arrows. How does that fit into the mix?
I actually handle the sales management for those guys. So what I do is I handle dealers all around the country, from the East Coast to the West Coast, north to south. I handle some salespeople, some sales reps. I handle a few box stores, Cabela's, Bass Pro, a few distributors. I'll handle consumer interactions, and I handle some pro staffing duties as well with both of those products.
And thanks for that. Then the final thing that you're involved is Hunt 24/7 sales and lands management. So you're helping people find places to hunt?
No, sir. What I do is I actually part of my company that I own is a land management division where I'm not an actual broker. I don't help people find land. What I'll do is, somebody makes contact, I'll go take a look at the land, I'll walk the land, I'll see where they could create some sanctuaries, where they have the affordability to release some trees to garner more daylight to the ground in order to garner some thicker cover, ground cover, creates more browse. Tell them where, you could create a food plot here because you've got this bedding cover here. So I actually go in and do the land management part of it to make better whitetail habitat.
There you go. Okay, that makes sense. And I'm sure, really keeps you busy. Go ahead.
People often ask, what's your schedule like? I don't really have a schedule. It's kind of from when I open my eyes till when I close them, and everything in between. But it's fun. I enjoy it, and my dad always told me if you can do something you love and make a career out of it, you'll never work a day in your life.
And truth to that. Very
much truth to that. I wake up every day blessed and thankful that I get to do something I absolutely love.
That's, thank you for saying that, because folks, if you want a key, what's the success? How did I get, to where I am today, doing the things that I do? I just went to work. I enjoyed what I did in corporate America, and now Whitetail Rendezvous, I get up and 7 o'clock or whatever, and then I'm on the phone or I'm doing whatever I need to do, producing shows, and there's money in it. There'll be money downstream when we find sponsors, people who want to get engaged and reach over, thousands of people in North America. But
absolutely,
just find what you're passionate about and go and do it. That's the easiest way I can say it. In the warm up, you shared some really good things about, we're not in this industry alone, but sometimes the me comes out loud and clear. So let's talk about, why me isn't the best way to go.
Well, I think you and I get to see it a lot in the hunting industry because we're directly involved. We essentially, our jobs are in this industry, so we see it a lot in this industry. And don't get me wrong, it's the world we live in today. But in the hunting industry, it's become such a competition. A lot of times in inches of antler is how we measure success, and my food plot's greener than yours, my bow is faster than yours, my accessories are better, my tree stands are better. And for me, that's not what it's about at all, and I've never forgotten that. Hunting is about making memories. It's about making habitat better for the next generation. It's about ensuring that there's game and lands to be able to be hunted for my kids and my grandkids and their grandkids down the road. It's camaraderie, it's friendship, it's heritage, it's passion. It should never be about me. It should never turn into hunters bashing each other or degrading each other over what they feel is right, what they feel is wrong. Indifferent. You're kind of all in this together, essentially that of any sports team. You're only as good as the guy standing next to you, and there's enough anti-hunting propaganda out there that with continued efforts, you will start to see changes. And the only way for hunters and conservationists to stop that are to stand together rather than, unfortunately, hang separately.
And listeners, it is important. And, Chevy and Ford and Winchester and Remington and Matthews and Hoyt or Bowtech, they're all great bows. They're engineered, they're so way ahead. I'm thinking about the Jennings bow I started with a long time ago, and we still have it. I have that heirloom.
The old Deer Slayer too.
my grandkids are shooting it, but it doesn't matter. What it is it's something that we love, and that's part of the reason I do the show is try to get the people to reach common ground. Say, hey, I understand you get a product. I understand you're trying to feed the family and do all the things that you do and shoot good film and all of that. But if we do it individually, we really, and as you said in that quote, if we do it out individually, we're not as strong as we would be collectively. Now, we're all not going to agree on anything.
No, not at all. And you can never expect people to agree on everything.
Yeah. So given that, okay, we carve our niche out and we support the industry that we're in, and we do a lot of great things like helping the youth of today, helping women today, helping the veterans today. I mean,
absolutely,
we give back. I mean, I'm astounded with the things people come up with, and David Hintzman, down in the Carolinas, just giving back. But we never hear about that. And then once somebody has a dust up, it all blows up and hits social media. Oh, did you see? Yeah, okay, that happens in life, but we got to minimize that. And when you go to ATA, congratulate people on having a successful business. Congratulate the new guy in the thing. Say, hey, this is the first time I've seen you here. Good luck to you. Hey, if I can help you out anyway, here's my card.
Absolutely.
What's wrong with
willingness to help only ends at your willingness to help ends in the mirror. The only person that you can help at the end of the day is the guy staring back in the mirror at you. You've got to be willing to want to help yourself and other people. You can't force that.
Nope.
That's something that 90% of the time I'll do anything I can to get somebody that maybe is on the fence. I've never really hunted, or I don't know a lot about hunting because I didn't grow up with it. Well, what do you need? You want to sit down and talk some night over coffee, or you want to come over for dinner? That was like the biggest thing, over the past 10 years, women's involvement in the outdoors has grown 74%.
Yeah, it's the fastest growing segment in the outdoor industry.
It's awesome. It's a great thing to see. It's wonderful to see couples and young women doing great things in the outdoor industry, and you've got a lot of women out there that set that in stone. You've got Brenda Valentine, you've got Candy Kiske, you've got Julie Kruder, you've got a lot of those women, Tammy Gregory, that were cornerstones a long time ago, and they're still here and they're still involved, getting youth involved, getting other young women involved. It's a great thing to watch.
Yeah, they just keep growing back. Brenda's been on the show a couple of times, and I really like her because, she is, in my estimation, the epitome of a lady that's out there for the good of the cause.
I call them Madam Outdoors. She's a wonderful, wonderful woman. She's a pleasure to talk to. And she's done so many great things, not for herself, but for the industry we all love.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest portrayal I get from her, is it's never been about her. It's always been about her love and passion and letting other people see that enjoyment.
Yeah, and she has, she's done a lot, and I think of Kirsty Pike, who started Pro as hunting apparel 9-10 years ago with absolutely nothing. She was a triage nurse in Gunnison, Colorado. Said if she's sick and tired of wearing Steve's clothes, and
right,
as they say, the rest is history.
It's history, all right. Boy, if you would have known that, if you would have known 15 years ago what was going to happen, and all you'd had to do was make a tailor cut, camouflage jacket, pants, sweatshirt, a few garments for women, stuck it out there and watched people turn their nose up at it, look where you'd be today.
Yeah, and she did it. I mean, that's
right,
the thing about Kirsty. And their family, they're entrepreneurs. They've done a lot of stuff. They've been very successful. But she did it amongst, against all odds, if you could say. So, ladies, you think about people like that. Amy Burnett Hartwig out at Bowtech,
Yep.
And just ladies that get out and do it. Amy Martin Schaefer, I mean, she's hunted all around the world. O'Brien's a big global hunter outfitter type guy, but you meet
right.
She was on the 8, and I think she got a silver medal or a medal in the Olympics, but it doesn't matter. She's that quality of lady that knows the determination, the commitment that it takes, to have a successful hunt. And I could go on, and I'm sorry that I'm.
Well, you turn on television, turn on any network, Sportsman, Pursuit, Outdoor Channel, doesn't matter what channel it is. On any given night, you probably see more women than you do men. I mean, I always said, they're basically taking over. We're a thing of the past, boys.
Well, and rightfully so. I don't have any problem with that. Yay, women.
No, I don't either. I think it's a great thing that all the women that have become involved and become essentially spokespeople for young girls, for the industry. I think it's wonderful. I'm glad to see so many women doing so well that have been around, and some new ones as well. There's a lot of great stewards of our wonderful heritage and passion, the hunting industry.
And with that, I told you at the beginning, Matthew, how fast this goes. We're at a point where you can give shout-outs for a couple minutes, then we'll wrap the show.
Sure. I give everything I've done to this point in my life, whether it be professionally or not, goes back to my dad and granddad. Everything I've done and accomplished will always go back to those two guys. And then there's a lot of companies out there that I came into this, and I'll always remain this as a nobody, just a normal, simple, down-to-earth guy from nowhere, Pennsylvania, but I've made a lot of great friendships over the years. Kyle Stokes at Stokerized, Nick at Steady Form, Tommy at Steady Form, all the guys at Dead Ringer. There's a lot of great people out there. David and the guys at Slash, Dave and Paul at Tree Stand Buddy, Jared at Lone Wolf has been a really, really close friend of mine. His son Caden there is a kid I keep a close eye on. I look at him and I see myself 15, 18 years ago. Just there's so many great people. That's what I love about what we do every day. That's why I love show season, because I get to be around so many great people, and I work in an industry with so many wonderful people that don't make it about them.
That's great. And are you going to be at ATA?
I will be. I'll be all over the place.
So you don't have just one booth?
I have one booth, but I have like 3 or 4 that I need to bounce around to and make sure everything's okay. And so I will see you there. I'll be the guy with hair on fire and running around like chicken with his head cut off, essentially.
Well, and I'd love to do another, ATA on the floor, 15, 20-minute interview, and I'm putting stuff out on social media. So if you see that and you'd like to sign up for, 15 minutes or so, please do.
Absolutely. Any way I can help out, you let me know.
Yeah, that would be most helpful. Just go to, whitetailrendezvous.com/interview, and you can schedule the time for the 10th, 11th, 12th. And
yes, sir.
That's what we're doing. But on behalf of thousands of listeners, we're creeping up 100,000 downloads across North America. Matthew Rankin, thank you so much for sharing your stories with us today. And next time we talk, we got to talk about the unicorn buck.
Yeah, that deer's something else.
Wow. All right.
That's one I'll never forget, that's for sure.
Thank you so much again, sir.
Thanks a lot, Bruce. I appreciate the time.
Make sure you listen to the next episode of Whitetail Rendezvous. We're going to join with Jim McPherson. He's the creator of Outdoor Matrix. Jim's from Northeast Missouri. He loves to hunt whitetails and ducks and turkeys, and he figured out how to take technology and make a digital journal. So you can pin your stands, where the ducks are flying, the duck blinds, or where that turkey likes to roost at night. Stay tuned. It's going to be a very informative show, and Jim's got some great stories about some great bucks.
Thanks for joining us. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, where you can listen and learn from the experts so you can be more successful on your next hunt. Until next time, listen, learn, and succeed.